Good morning, everyone. I am laying here in bed and I wanted to make a video on sharing about, people who have fears of dark energy. And, a lot of this comes up for us when we think back when we're children. Okay. And do you remember when you were a child and you would be in your room and you would be so afraid of the dark and and you would almost feel like things were there and you'd run out, tell your parents, or maybe you had to keep your hallway light on. I know I did growing up as a child. I had to have my hallway light on. And I want to share and touch on the truth of what is going on around us, during these times, especially when we're older, if we're still feeling that way when we're older. Um, Our inner body of light energy shifts to how we feel, always. The worlds around us are constantly changing because our inner body of how we feel is shifting. And when it shifts, the worlds around us change of those beings that are feeling the same form of feeling that you're feeling, depending on how big of a gap of a shift is happening. Um, when children are going through times of fear, they're literally shifting to the dimensions of fear. The beings around them, like energy, always attracts to like energy. Okay. And what happens is you shift down to that level. Now you have beings who are in a fearful state, ones that thrive off drawing more energy from you of that fear state, and they want to bring you deeper into that state. So you actually have beings around you who are in that state and dimension of fear. And something I want to share and touch on that because these are the levels that I work with in my life today to do the work I'm doing. You don't have to be afraid. They always gain power and control over you when they get you in that state of fear. But you don't have to be, if you're in these states and you're feeling that way, the power of who you are, of the light being of who you are, is very powerful. You are very, very powerful when you understand the truth of who you are within your physical form. And I just really wanted to share and touch on the reality of what's actually happening. I don't speak a lot about this stuff because it's really hard for a lot of people to understand it being truthful. And it is truthful of the things that, people go through. So, there's two things from this to take away from. And one is uh, believe your children when they're going through um, and saying they're afraid, because truly they have beings of that realm of dimension around them in their room, because that is the vibration their soul, their inner light being, is vibrating at. So to comfort them and bring peace to them, you will shift them out of that, and you will give them more power to shift away from that, so they're not suffering when they're going to sleep. Because someone like myself, who's very sensitive to energy, um, I suffered a lot as a child feeling fear going to bed. I know it sounds silly a lot of times when we think back, and like covering our feet under the blanket, and having to have the hallway light on, and covering your head, over with the blanket and whatnot, right? It seems kind of funny to think back, but at the time, it was horrible. The experience I went through was horrible as a child, because I was in that deep state, and then the beings, I could feel them around me, but I didn't understand it, right? So the more you give compassion and love and security to children and do what they ask, leave the hallway light on, don't dismiss them, because they're going to suffer in a way that you don't understand, because they're going through a different reality at that time where their soul is vibrating at that level. Okay. And it's also understanding the power of who you are in your physical form. There is no fear. When I shift to these lower levels, I do it because of the work that I'm here to do. The reason why is, I used to ask, like, why can't they do it on the other side? Why am I doing it here? It's because what happens is when you lower to these lower dimensions, there's almost like gatekeepers, I'll use as a word. And what they do is, when a soul comes down to those levels to try to help, like your family members or whatnot, or people that you care about, there's this energy of dark energy that will swirl around your being, and try to pull you back out of that realm to not have you in there, because they can sense and feel your light. So as I'm in a physical form, I've sat in these dimensions for days and weeks at a time, and they cannot pull me out. And because I can see the energy that's around me, I can do more work than what can happen if my soul wasn't in this physical form. It's a big reason why I'm here today, why I'm fully awoken to who I am today, because I am here to do this work in this lifetime. I'm not meant to live the same human experience believing I am Jeff Saunders in this reality. I go to work every day. This is my life. These are my stresses. These are my worries. I live in that space all the time. It's just not my purpose anymore. And that's why I know who I am in this physical form, doing the work that I am doing, being almost taken out of the human experience of my conditioning to believe who I once was. And now I fully know who I am to do this work of what I am here to do in this physical form, to heal and to relieve those who are suffering. So I just wanted to share that. Have no fear. The more fear you allow to happen, the more fear you allow those who are suffering on the other side to take control over, to keep you in that space, okay? So I just really wanted to give that message. I just woke up, kind of. I've been laying here for the last hour, and I'm like, I need to make a video about this, and I need to share about it. So it's to help people, right? Whether you believe me, don't, really doesn't matter. It doesn't change my life whatsoever. But for the person it does affect and it does help, that is why I make these videos, okay? So anyways, hope you have a great day.